108, they paid us, now they don't owe us anything. They owe us 108, they paid us, now they don't owe us anything. They owed us 108, they paid us, now they don't owe us anything. That's what this report should look like if it is being kept up properly, and of course if we're getting paid, which hopefully we are. So we want to scroll down to the Rummins Susie and see what she has down here. It's in alphabetical order, as you can see, which is probably why they made us go down to the S's down here so we can observe the alphabetical order. Alright, so we're looking for Rummins, so here it is there, and we have this one invoice at 12/12/14, and we have the amount and the balance that is due to us. Now I'm going to go ahead and save this entire report once again, and I'm going to go back to exporting it to Excel. So I want to export it to that same Excel file that we had already exported to prior. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Excel. I'm going to export to a new worksheet. So it's a new worksheet within the same workbook. So it's a new worksheet. Then you'll get the same window here, but now we want to change to an existing workbook. So we're going to go to an existing workbook in our computer, going to browse to the computer, and then I'm going to go ahead and find that. So I'm going to go to the desktop, going to scroll down to our QuickBooks file, going to go to the week 1, chapter 1, and there it is right there. So I'm going to double click on that, opening that. Then it should open it once we hit the export button and create a new sheet in the existing workbook that will contain the customer balance detail information. So here it is. There's the new worksheet. It just says it's sheet 1, and we could drag it in order to the second tab like so. I'm just clicking and dragging it, and then we could try to rename it. I'm going to see the header, so I'm going to go to the second tab, which is called the page layout tab. It's going to give me a pop-up. I'm going to say okay, that's okay, and then notice I'm going to drag this over because it moved my opening bar here. And I'm going to click on them, and I'm going to go back to my tab. I'm going to double click on this tab, and then I'm going to call it the customer balance detail. I'm going to abbreviate it a little bit, and then that will be it. Then I'm going to go back to the view tab. Now if you couldn't get to that tab because this view got messed up, you then could go back to the normal tab, and it will give you these split items. Then you can try to move this task pane over. It's still not allowing me because I have this split item here. To get rid of the split, go to the view tab, the Windows group, and the split button, and that should go away, and we should then have this looking back to a reasonable level. And then if you scroll over here, you can see that if you have these 3 dots, that means it's too far over. And we have these 3 tabs, this being the tips tab. You can delete that if you would like, and then the 2 reports that we have now created. Alright, and then we can close that and save that. Now, if you don't have that option, you can go to File and you can save it as a PDF, or you can print it and print report, and then change it to the cute PDF printer and print that. And same idea, it's going to where I want it to go. So this is the customer balance detail as of, well, I won't put a date because we didn't have one, and save it. Alright, let's see what we have next. I'm going to once again skip to where we have the activities where it says print a customer balance detail report. If you have closed the customer balance details report, click reports, customer balance, and customer balance detail. Then we click print button located in the button bar. Click print in the report dialog box. So we've already done that. We've gone to print, and we went over here and we printed this report, so we are good on that activity. And let's see what else we have. Skipping to the next beige box. Once again, I suggest you pausing and reading the non-beige areas. I'm going to scroll down to page 17, bottom of the page, to use the help index. I want to point out that the help menu is going to be a very useful item, but it does change in formatting from year over year, and this is one thing that the book has been formatting this problem over from year to year. So the help menu might be slightly different in this one than it appears in the book, because once again they have changed the problem going forward. But The data will be much the same. The help menu will be useful to locate answers. And I would also use Google and YouTube and all these items that are available as free resources on the internet, being that QuickBooks is a large program and a lot of people do post a lot of helpful material on it. So I'm going to move to the next item here. I'm going to scroll down. It does say to print this. I'm not going to require that you print it, so you do not have to do that one. So we're going to go down to change date preferences. So in the Larry Landscaping, this is on page 18 by the way, in the Larry Landscaping and Garden files currently open, click the edit and then click preferences. So I'm going to open this one. We're going to go to the tabs up top. Going to go to the drop down, which is the edit. Drop downs may look familiar to older versions of Microsoft Office. We're going to go to preferences down here, and we have all these preferences that we could then choose from. And we will then, number 2 says click the general icon on the left of the preferences window and then click company preferences tab. So we are already in the general icon here. We have 2 tabs, my preferences and company preferences. I'm going to go to the company preferences up top. Then we are going to go down to page 19, which says uncheck the always show 4 years as 4 digits. Always show 4 years as 4 digits, uncheck. Done. And then we have 4 says click OK to save the changes and close the preferences window. To restore the home page, click the home page. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and say OK and OK. And so we have changed that preference. It closed all of our windows. If we want the home page open, we can go to the home page icon, which of course has a little home up here. Alright, I'm going to skip down to the beige area so you can go through this, pause it, read through the scenario, and I'm going to skip down through here. This is going to show you a demo type of file in the home page, so you can read through that. I'm going to scroll down to page number 20, which has a new objective of to view and explore the home page. Okay, click the home from the icon bar and go through these tabs. Now, from this point, I'm just going to show you the home page and kind of talk through it here. I won't go through the formal review that they're giving here. I'm just going to show you the icons. You can go through and read through it in this format. So this is the home page. There's multiple ways to get to multiple items within QuickBooks. The home page is one convenient way to do it because it shows you a pictorial process. Notice that the process is in terms by basically cycle that happens. So we have, for example, the vendor cycle or the accounts payable cycle. If we're not dealing with inventory, I won't go up here. We'll get into this later when we start selling stuff. But the most basic accounts payable cycle is we're going to enter a bill and then we're going to pay the bill. So even in our personal finances, if we get all the bills at the end of the month, let's say we're just going to enter the bills and pay them at one time. If we were to go into here and then enter all the bills, it will have a format that will look similar to a check. We can enter all the bills. It says bill on this side being the difference. And if we enter them all at one time, then we can then pay the bills over here. When we select the pay bills, it will show all the bills that we have then entered. Now, if we use QuickBooks to print the checks, this is a nice option because then we can check all these off at one time, and then we can get the pre-printed checks. Notice that QuickBooks will not print a check from a blank piece of paper because that's not good internal controls. We still need the blank checks with the pre-numbered account number and numbered checks on them, and we'll put those into the printer. Then we can print all the checks at the same time using this feature by checking them off and printing them. If you do not use that feature, we could still write manual checks with a checkbook and enter the information and then manually put the check numbers into QuickBooks. You could still use it for that feature because it will still help you with the accounting and bookkeeping even if you're not using the printing of the checks feature. If you look to the customers tabs, also kind of like the accounts receivable cycle, the sales cycle we could call it, we have the create invoice icon. And if we're talking about a service company, when we create an invoice, that's basically an invoice to us is a bill to somebody else. So when we create an invoice, we're going to have the icon, the price, the class, the amount of the bill, who is it going to go to, the customer class we'll talk about later, and we have the date of the bill and where it's going to go. Then of course if there's sales tax, if we sell things, and that will give us the price on the invoice. Now, what we see on the invoice is it's going to create a journal entry. We see one number, and we know that when we create the journal entry will be debit accounts receivable, credit sales in this case. And we'll see examples of that as we later go through problems. Now, there's an added step within QuickBooks that we haven't really learned in our traditional accounting classes, and that is that we're going to have a receive payment before we put it into the bank. And when we've talked about this traditionally in our accounting classes, we've always thought about cash as like this one big thing. Obviously, in real life, cash is basically the checking account. But we might want to track, we do want to track when it goes into the checking account. We want to put it all in the checking account as of the format that it is deposited, so that when we do the bank reconciliation, it's grouped in the same format. So what will happen in real life oftentimes is we're going to collect checks throughout the day. If we get more than one check, we're going to put it into the customer receipt item, and that's going to debit the undeposited checks and credit the receivable, meaning it reduces the amount that people owe us, and it puts it into undeposited checks, not the checking account yet, because we haven't taken it to the bank yet. And then we're going to go to the record deposit, and we're going to take all our checks for the day, go to the bank, and deposit them at one time. These are the two checks that are there at this time, and we would then deposit both of them at the same time, and it would show on the bank as being one deposit of those two checks. Then we have the employee cycle, which is of course the payroll cycle. We'll talk more about the payroll a bit later, setting up the payroll, different types of payroll. There's a lot of different options for payroll, both within QuickBooks and outside of it. On page 22, QuickBooks also gives you this type of getting started setup, which will give you some also automated items to explain the features in QuickBooks. Once again, I won't go through this here. You can go through that on your own. And so that chooses these icons here. And then to exit QuickBooks, you can click the File tab and then the Account menu and click Exit. Now, so that's going to be the end of the chapter here. So you, once again, you could go to File and Exit down here. You do not have to worry about saving the file because this is a database program and it saves as you go. So unlike Word or Excel, you don't have to save it all the time. It saves automatically. You could also just exit over here, like most people probably do, X out of it, and that'll close the program. Then if you wanted to turn this in, note that when you turn this into QuickBooks, you could go into week 1 and you could upload these files individually. If you want to then upload them all at one time, and you choose the files you want, and if you want to upload them all at one time, you could zip the file. So you could take this file that they're all in, right click it, and go to send to a zipped file. That way you can upload one zipped file. Also note that if you put the backup file or the data file in here, the file may be too large to upload to Moodle. That's why I don't recommend saving your QuickBooks file into the folder that you're saving your reports to, because you won't be able to upload it to QuickBooks. So I recommend putting those in your data files here.